Welcome back to our channel. Before you spend that penny, stop. Your 1982, 1987, 2002, or even 2014 penny could be worth far more than 1 cent. Some of these coins hide rare mint errors or special varieties that collectors pay big money for. Grab your change, check the date, and you might just be holding a hidden treasure in your pocket. In 1982, a quiet revolution took place in the world of US coinage, though at the time very few people outside of the mint paid much attention. It was the year the United States changed the very composition of one of its most common and beloved coins, the Lincoln 1-cent penny. For decades, pennies had been struck in a 95% copper alloy, giving them a distinctive weight, sound, and feel in the hand. But rising copper prices in the late 1970s and early 1980s forced the mint to rethink the way pennies were made. Producing a coin whose metal content was worth nearly as much as its face value simply wasn't sustainable. By mid-1982, the US Mint began switching over to a new composition, a zinc core plated with a thin layer of copper. This change was subtle to the casual observer, but in the world of numismatics, it created one of the most fascinating and valuable error coins in modern history. The Lincoln cent in 1982 wasn't just a coin, it was a moment of transition, and with any big change comes the potential for unusual mistakes. Because the shift from copper to copper-plated zinc happened during the same year, two different types of 1982 pennies exist: the older heavy copper alloy version and the newer lightweight zinc version. But things didn't stop there. The 1982 cent also came in both large date and small date varieties, minted at both Philadelphia and Denver facilities. In total, there were 7 officially recognized combinations. But in the chaos of production, a few highly unusual and unintended coins were struck. Coins that combined the wrong metal with the wrong design, creating the kind of rarity collectors dream about. One of the most famous and valuable of these is the 1982 D small date copper penny. According to official mint records, all small date 1982 D pennies should have been struck on zinc planchets. Yet somehow, a tiny handful were minted using leftover copper planchets from earlier production runs. This was no minor oversight. This was the creation of a numismatic legend. These rare pennies have the appearance of a typical 1982 cent, but weigh 3.11 grams instead of the zinc version's lighter 2.5 grams. To the naked eye, they look like any other coin in circulation, which means millions of people have probably handled one without realizing they were touching a treasure worth more than a luxury car. Part of what makes the 1982 penny error so fascinating is that it bridges 2 eras of US coin production. It embodies the last gasp of traditional copper cent production while also existing firmly in the zinc-plated modern era. Every detail of the coin, the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the "In God We Trust" motto, the Liberty inscription, and the date speaks to continuity, while its composition tells the story of change. On the reverse, the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959, remains unchanged, yet the coin's metallic heart is something altogether different. The allure for collectors is not just in the rarity, but in the chase. Imagine sorting through rolls of pennies from the bank, weighing them one by one, hoping to see the scale tip toward that magic 3.11 grams. The difference is so slight that you could easily miss it by touch alone. But for those in the know, that extra fraction of a gram is the telltale sign of an extraordinary find. Over the years, stories have surfaced of people discovering these rare pennies in pocket change, in old coffee cans of coins stored away for decades, or in the dusty contents of inherited coin jars. The market for the 1982 penny error is fierce because the supply is incredibly limited. In the world of modern coin errors, scarcity drives value, and authenticated examples of the 1982 D small date copper penny command jaw-dropping prices at auction. Collectors are drawn to the mystery of how these coins escaped the mint's strict production controls and made their way into the wild. Some speculate that they were struck accidentally during the switchover period when leftover copper blanks were still in the hopper. Others believe they were the result of human oversight in mixing planchets. Whatever the case, the result is a coin so rare that only a handful have been certified by major grading companies. Grading is crucial for these coins. High-grade examples, those with minimal wear, sharp details, and bright luster, are especially prized. The difference between a circulated example and one in near-mint condition can be tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors often pay a premium for coins encapsulated by PCGS or NGC, as these services verify authenticity and assign a grade that becomes a key factor in determining market value. Beyond the technical and monetary aspects, there's something undeniably romantic about this coin. It's a symbol of change, an accidental survivor from a moment when the mint was modernizing production and adapting to economic realities. It represents the unpredictability of history, that a routine day at the mint could, through a simple oversight, produce something extraordinary. And unlike rare coins from centuries past, the 1982 penny error still hides in plain sight. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one tomorrow. The Lincoln cent has always been a workhorse coin of American commerce, passing anonymously through billions of hands each year. But the 1982 error penny is a reminder that even the most ordinary object can hold extraordinary value. For many collectors, the dream of finding one is as thrilling as owning it. It's about the hunt, the possibility, the idea that your next handful of change could contain a small fortune disguised as a penny. Over the last few decades, prices for authenticated examples have steadily climbed. What was once a quirky curiosity in the numismatic community has become a headline-worthy treasure. Auction results show fierce bidding wars, often between determined private collectors who refuse to let such a rare opportunity pass by. The 1982 small-date copper penny and other notable transitional errors from that year have earned their place among the elite modern rarities of U.S. coinage. And while millions of ordinary 1982 pennies will forever remain just 1 cent in value, these rare error versions stand as glittering outliers, proof that rarity, history, and a touch of mystery can transform even the humblest coin into a true prize. Today, a pristine, authenticated 1982 USA 1-cent penny error can fetch anywhere from $50,000 to $120,000, making it one of the most valuable modern pennies ever to leave the U.S. Mint. The 1987 U.S. 1-cent penny is one such coin. To the average person, it may look like an ordinary penny, small, copper-colored, and often taken for granted as just spare change. But to seasoned collectors and numismatists, this coin holds a special place in history, and for those lucky enough to find the right one, it could be worth a small fortune. To understand why the 1987 penny is so significant, we need to go back to the time it was minted, when America was experiencing a shift in culture, technology, and even in the way coins were made. The year 1987 fell in the middle of a decade defined by bold fashion, the rise of personal computers, and a renewed sense of patriotism. But for the U.S. Mint, it was another year of producing billions of coins to keep the economy running smoothly. Yet, even with advanced machinery and strict quality controls, mistakes could happen, and it was these rare minting errors that would eventually make certain 1987 pennies incredibly valuable. The design of the 1987 penny followed the long-standing tradition of featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, a design that had been in place since 1909. On the reverse, the image of the Lincoln Memorial stood proudly with incredible detail, even the tiny representation of Lincoln's statue visible if you looked closely. This design, by Frank Gasparo, had been in use since 1959, and in 1987, it was struck on coins made primarily from copper-plated zinc. The transition from solid copper to copper-plated zinc had occurred in 1982 as a cost-saving measure, and by 1987, the new composition was standard. But it is precisely within this modern production environment that certain rare variations and errors emerged. Some 1987 pennies were struck with off-center designs, creating a noticeable misalignment where part of the image was missing or shifted. Others had double die errors, where letters or details appeared doubled due to a misalignment in the striking process. In even rarer cases, some coins were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations, creating mismatched weights and metallic compositions. Each of these errors drastically reduced the number of coins in perfect condition but increased the desirability for collectors seeking something unique. To truly appreciate the rarity of a valuable 1987 penny, one must understand the survival rate of coins in mint condition. Billions of pennies were minted that year, but the vast majority entered circulation immediately, subject to the wear and tear of everyday use. People used them for vending machines to pay exact change at grocery stores, and they rattled around in pockets and purses for years. Over time, scratches, dings, and discoloration diminished their appeal to collectors. That's why finding a 1987 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one with a rare minting error, is such an exciting discovery. Imagine walking into a coin shop or attending a numismatic auction and seeing a 1987 penny in a protective case, gleaming under the lights. You'd notice the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the crisp lettering of "In God We Trust," and the perfect lines of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. A coin like that would have been carefully preserved from the moment it left the mint, never spending a day in circulation. It's coins like these that command the highest prices in today's collector market. Beyond its physical characteristics, the 1987 penny carries with it a story of American coinage in the late 20th century. It's a reminder of how even in an age of advanced manufacturing, human oversight and mechanical mishaps could still produce fascinating rarities. For collectors, Owning such a coin is like holding a piece of history that bridges the gap between the past and present, a small but meaningful artifact of an era. The excitement around coins like the 1987 penny also comes from the treasure hunt aspect. Anyone could potentially have one sitting in a forgotten jar of change at home. That possibility fuels the passion of collectors and casual hobbyists alike. People often recount stories of discovering a rare coin in pocket change and later realizing its immense value. In a way, it makes every penny worth a second glance. Over the years, coin grading services have played a crucial role in determining the value of rare pennies like the 1987 issue. Professional grading evaluates a coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades indicating better preservation. A 1987 penny with a rare error in top-grade condition could attract serious attention from collectors and investors who understand that rarity plus condition equals value. Auction houses have seen intense bidding wars over such coins, where enthusiastic buyers compete fiercely for the chance to add one to their collections. The market for rare coins is dynamic, influenced by trends, collector demand, and the occasional headline about a surprising sale. In recent years, certain 1987 pennies have fetched impressive sums, particularly those with dramatic errors or exceptional grades. For those unfamiliar with numismatics, it may seem incredible that a coin with a face value of just 1 cent could be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. But that's the magic of coin collecting. History, rarity, and beauty converge to create value far beyond the metal itself. So, the next time you see a penny from 1987, don't dismiss it as just another piece of spare change. Take a closer look at its details, check for signs of unusual features, and consider its condition. You might just be holding a miniature fortune in your hand without even realizing it. The most valuable examples of the 1987 US 1-cent penny, especially those with rare minting errors and preserved in near-perfect condition, can reach astonishing prices in the collector market today, with values ranging from $40,000 to $110,000. The 2002 US 1-cent penny is one such treasure. To most people, it's just a penny, lightweight, copper-colored, and barely given a second thought when handed back as change at a store. But for a select few collectors who know what to look for, this particular year holds surprises that can turn a humble cent into something worth thousands of dollars. The year 2002 wasn't a monumental one in terms of US coin design, but it was significant in other ways. The economy was recovering from the turbulence of the early 2000s, technology was advancing at a rapid pace, and America was firmly in the modern era of coin production. By then, the US Mint had perfected high-speed coin-making techniques, producing billions of coins each year with precision. Yet, as history shows, even in the most controlled environments, small imperfections can slip through, and in the numismatic world, those imperfections often become the most valuable finds. The design of the 2002 penny was no different from previous years in its basic elements. The obverse displayed Victor David Brenner's enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. Above Lincoln's head appeared the familiar phrase, "In God we trust," with liberty to his left and the date 2002 to his right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stood in stately detail, a creation of Frank Gasparo, who had replaced the original wheat ears design in 1959. By this time, the penny's composition was well established as a core of zinc coated with a thin layer of copper, something that had been the standard since 1982. On the surface, it might seem impossible for a coin like this to be rare. After all, in 2002, the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced billions of pennies. But rarity in numismatics isn't about how many coins were minted. It's about how many survive in exceptional condition or with unusual traits. This is where the 2002 penny story takes an intriguing turn. Certain 2002 pennies have emerged with striking errors or anomalies that make them stand out from the rest. These include dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing because it was misaligned during the minting process. Double die errors, which give letters and numbers a ghostly doubled appearance. And in extremely rare cases, pennies struck on planchets intended for other denominations, leading to incorrect weights or compositions. These mistakes happen only in a tiny fraction of coins, but when they do, they create pieces that collectors are eager to own. Even without a dramatic error, a 2002 penny can be worth far more than face value if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most pennies leave the mint and are immediately put into circulation, where they suffer scratches, discoloration, and general wear from everyday handling. Think about how pennies are often tossed into jars, rattled around in pockets, or used in coin-counting machines. Each of those experiences degrades their condition. But in rare cases, a penny will be carefully stored from the moment it leaves the mint, protected from even the smallest blemish. These coins can maintain their original luster for decades and are prized by collectors. Imagine spotting a flawless 2002 penny in a protective case at a coin show. Under the bright lights, the copper sheen gleams, every detail on Lincoln's face sharply defined, every letter crisp and clear. The edges are perfect, untouched by the dings and dents that plague circulated coins. To the untrained eye, it might seem no different from any penny and change, but to a collector, it's an object of beauty and a rare survivor from a sea of ordinary coins. The real thrill for many comes from the idea that such a penny could be found by anyone, anywhere. Coin roll hunters, hobbyists, and even casual collectors dream of discovering one in a bankroll or in pocket change. It's a reminder that treasure hunting doesn't always require a metal detector or a trip to a distant land. Sometimes, the treasure is sitting right in front of you. Professional grading services add another layer to the story of the 2002 penny. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades indicating a more perfect coin. A 2002 penny with an error or in near-perfect condition can command a premium far above its face value, and the top-graded examples often become the subject of competitive bidding at auctions. For serious collectors, a high-grade coin from this year is not just a collectible. It's an investment, one that combines beauty, history, and scarcity in a single piece. Over the years, rare 2002 pennies have made their way into the spotlight during auctions, sometimes selling for sums that shock those outside the coin world. The combination of a modern date, a common design, and an extraordinary rarity creates an element of surprise. After all, most people think only old coins can be valuable, but coins like these prove that modern pennies can also hold remarkable worth under the right circumstances. So the next time you receive a penny and change, don't dismiss it as unimportant. Look closely at the details, the date, the condition, and any unusual features. While the vast majority will be worth only a cent, there's always the chance you'll stumble upon one of the exceptional ones. A coin that tells a bigger story than its size would suggest. And if you're lucky enough to find a rare 2002 penny in exceptional condition or with a notable error, you could be holding something far more valuable than you realize. The most sought-after examples of the 2002 US 1-cent penny, especially those preserved in mint state or with rare minting errors, have been known to reach incredible prices in today's market, with values ranging from $36,000 to $102,000. In the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting, treasures aren't always ancient, and they don't always appear in gold or silver. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, disguised as the smallest piece of currency we use every day. The 2014 US 1-cent penny is a perfect example. At first glance, it's just another Lincoln cent, light, coppery in color, and easily overlooked in a handful of change. But for collectors who know what to look for, certain examples from this year are far from ordinary, and they've been known to command prices that would make anyone take a second look at their pocket change. The 2014 penny belongs to the modern Shield cent series, a design introduced in 2010 to honor the long history of the Lincoln cent. On the obverse, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains, the same Victor David Brenner design first minted in 1909. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" to the left and the date 2014 to the right. On the reverse, the wheat ears and Lincoln memorial of previous decades are replaced by a bold Union shield with a scroll draped across it bearing the denomination 1 cent. The shield, with its 13 vertical stripes and a horizontal bar at the top, symbolizes the unity of the states under a single federal government. BY 2014. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies each year with modern high-speed presses, and the coins were made from a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. With such massive production numbers, you might think that every penny is identical and worth only face value. But history shows us that perfection is rare, even in the most precise systems. And in the world of numismatics, it's often the imperfections, or the coins that survive untouched in flawless condition, that become the most valuable. Some 2014 pennies have emerged with unusual and highly collectible traits. Among the most notable are double die obverse or reverse errors, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. There are also off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't positioned correctly under the dies. In exceptionally rare cases, some 2014 pennies have been struck on foreign planchets or planchets meant for other U.S. denominations, resulting in wrong weights, odd colors, or unique appearances. Beyond mint errors, condition plays an enormous role in determining value. Most pennies from 2014 entered circulation almost immediately after leaving the mint, enduring scratches, dings, and discoloration from being passed from hand to hand. They were tossed into drawers, clinked together in change jars, or rattled around in pockets and purses. This constant wear destroys the sharpness of the design and the original mint luster. But a small number of coins avoid this fate. These are the ones set aside from the moment they were minted, stored in protective cases, and never exposed to the rough handling of everyday commerce. Imagine seeing one of these perfect specimens at a coin show. Under a magnifying glass, Lincoln's features are razor-sharp, the shield's lines are crisp, and the copper layer shines with the same brilliance it had on the day it was struck. For a collector, such a coin is like a time capsule, a flawless survivor from a sea of ordinary coins. Coin roll hunters and casual collectors alike dream of finding such treasures. It's part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. You don't have to be a professional to discover something valuable. A trip to the bank, a jar of coins at home, or even your grocery store change could yield a rare 2014 penny that's worth far more than its face value. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC play an important role in verifying and preserving these finds. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and the highest grades, MS67, MS68, and above, can elevate a penny's value dramatically. Add a rare error into the mix, and you're looking at a coin that could attract competitive bidding at auctions. Auction results over the past few years have shown just how surprising the market can be for coins like this. Even modern pennies can reach staggering prices when they combine rarity, condition, and collector demand. For many, the appeal is in owning something unique, a tiny piece of American history that escaped the ordinary and became extraordinary. So the next time you see a 2014 penny, don't dismiss it without a second look. Examine the date, the details, and the condition. Look for doubling, off-center designs, or anything unusual in the color and weight. While almost all 2014 pennies will be worth only a cent, there's always the possibility you could stumble across one of the rare examples that collectors crave. And if you're lucky enough to find one in exceptional condition or with a remarkable error, you may be holding something truly valuable. The most desirable examples of the 2014 US 1-cent penny have been known to sell for extraordinary amounts, with values ranging from $27,000 to $88,000.